Hello and welcome to the Gettysburg Update. You are listening to 91.1 WZBT Gettysburg. Today, it is post-election day. We have the results for the Gettysburg Municipal Primary, the Gettysburg Area School District School Board Primary, Adams County races, Adams County Court of Common Pleas, Judge race. All of these results are in. This election is something that I've been previewing on this show for quite some time. We had last semester, we had the mayoral candidate Chad Allen Carr on, and this semester we had Jeff Rio, Democrat for Gettysburg Borough Council, Ward 1 on, and we also had David Petters, Republican for Gettysburg Borough Council, Ward 1 on, and then we had two of the Gettysburg College professors that are running for Gettysburg Area School District School Board on. That would be Ryan Kearney and Charles Wise. And so for the show to wrap up the election and discuss the election, I thought, why not have someone that's been very locally engaged in Gettysburg politics in the community? Someone who is a student at Gettysburg College and a former president of the Gettysburg College Republicans. That is Garrett Bumps. He also is the campaign manager for Paul Royer's campaign for Adams County Court of Common Pleas judge. And he's also a member of the Gettysburg College Student Senate. He is the secretary there. So this is someone who's very civically engaged in his community, someone that's very respectful. We had a really great conversation on Thursday that I recorded, and we're gonna air it for you now. We broke down the election results, and there were points where I was like, okay, you give this side of the argument, and then I'll kind of give the other side and just kind of break down where these candidates stand and what the significance is of the race. And we also talked a lot about the Court of Common Pleas for Adams County race because he was very much directly involved in that. So I hope you will enjoy my conversation with Garrett Bumps breaking down Gettysburg municipal elections and Adams County elections. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Gettysburg Update. My name is Dan, and I am here with Garrett Bumps, former president of the Gettysburg College Republicans, Gettysburg College Senate Secretary, and campaign manager for Paul Royer's bid for Judge of Adams County Court of Common Pleas. And we are here today to discuss the results of the Gettysburg municipal election and the Adams County election that just happened. How are you doing, Garrett?
Doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So first, we're going to talk about the Adams County Court of Common Pleas race. We're going to first talk about the primary a little bit. Torrin Ecker is a Pennsylvania state representative for the 193rd District in the PA House of Representatives, who defeated Royer in the Republican primary. Ecker had 60.41% of the vote of 5,376, and Royer had 39.59%, totaling 3,523 votes. Paul Royer is a lawyer who has practiced in Maryland, D.C., and in Adams County in private practice, and is a public defender. He has argued successfully in front of the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court on 3 occasions and is licensed in Pennsylvania, Maryland, various federal jurisdictions, and the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veteran Claims. Royer cross-listed as a Democrat and captured 4,154 votes, equaling 100% according to the state's website. And in the general election that just occurred on November 4th, Torrin Ecker defeated Democrat, who is a moderate Republican running as a Democrat, Paul Royer, for Judge of the Court of Common Pleas, 16,576 to 12,887, and is elected for a 10-year term on the Adams County Court of Common Pleas. Garrett, you were the campaign manager for Paul Royer's campaign. Can you take me through what it was like managing his campaign?
Sure. So Paul's a fantastic candidate, and, the first thing I would just say is that since I started in February, I've just had a great time getting to know him and his family. They've welcomed me in, and we really did actually enjoy the process of campaigning and getting to know folks all across the county. So that would probably be the first thing I would focus on. I would say that it was obviously a struggle trying to get the message across. In terms of cross-listing, Paul really was not the candidate that either establishment party supported. The Adams County Republican Party and Adams County Democratic Party kind of turned their backs on Paul from the beginning. And, this was kind of a fight against the machine, trying to get a politically independent judge into the courtroom. And, I would say that the fact that Paul was able to capture, such a significant portion of the Adams County voter base says that people did actually resonate with that message. And, he was not able to secure a victory, but I think we are content with what he was able to pull off in the election.
Thank you. And can you talk a little bit about the difference in background? Because you have a position of judge where it's supposed to be someone that's neutral, and politics, should be out of the courtroom. That was something that was talked a lot about in the campaigns, in the candidate forum at Gettysburg College, that both candidates talked about. But Torrin Ecker is a politician through and through. He is a state representative. And Paul Royer has less political background. He's more of a lawyer. So how does that background affect this race?
Sure, absolutely. We worked really hard throughout the campaign to focus on our candidate and to stay out of mudslinging, But when talking about the background, I think what, we found really important and what we were trying to get across to voters is that when you're electing a judge, you're looking for somebody who spends their time in a courtroom. And in the comparison of the number of court cases between Paul and his opponent, we saw that since 2000 in the publicly available court records in Adams County, Paul had over 800 cases. His opponent had under 100. So, Ecker argued that he was an attorney in addition to being a politician, which I believe to be true. But, you can't kind of take politics out of it, and I would argue that you need somebody who is more politically neutral for the job. You want a lawyer in the courtroom, just like you want a politician in the State House.
Thank you. And what made you want to get involved in his campaign?
I met Paul Royer first, before I even knew, kind of who was going to be in the race. But I took a step back after I met Paul and kind of dove deep into both candidates. I read a lot about both of them, did everything I could to, research both of them. I talked to the people in town who I knew, and I tried to make every assessment I could about who would be the stronger candidate, trying to get on the right side of the campaign. And, essentially I came to the understanding that Paul was the candidate that had more legal experience, and for the role he would be better prepared to take on the position of judge, which is why I made the determination to stick with him from the beginning. But this was all the way back in February, and I feel like I was proven right on that decision time and time again, as he continued to kind of stand up for what was right.
Thank you. And what was the main message you wanted voters to take away from Royer's campaign?
We really wanted voters to understand. A lot of folks show up to the polls and, they're kind of there to support their party's message. And what was important to us was that you really kind of understood that Paul had, especially in the general election, Paul had a Democrat under his name, and it's really not about politics. Paul is a registered Republican in Adams County, and in the primary he cross-filed. He believes that politics had nothing to do with the courtroom, so he put himself on both ballots. You have to get a certain number of signatures on your petition in order to get on the ballot. He was able to secure enough signature petitions for the Democrat and Republican ballots. He got on both ballots. He got a lot of support in both. He got, as you heard, about roughly 40% of the Republican vote and essentially all of the Democrat vote. And that was strong support in the primary. He received more votes in the primary than the other candidate, and moving forward from that, it was really just kind of us fighting the fact that he was running with a D next to his name in a county that was 65-35 Republican Democrat. I mean, I'm a Republican, and I was standing at the polls trying to convince other Republicans that, they wouldn't be abandoning their party by supporting a non-political judicial candidate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does seem a little odd that these judge candidates have to run with a political affiliation. It does seem a little weird. As well as school board candidates. Some of the school board candidates have talked about that, where it's like, I wish I would run without a D or an R next to my name. Mm-hmm. What kind of impact do you think Judge Ecker will have on the Adams County Court of Common Pleas?
I probably won't speculate on where that will go. I think that, he seems like a really nice guy, and I'm hopeful that given that most of his experience is in the area of family law, that the cases that he is able to take up, the caseload that he's given by the chief judge, are in the area of family law.
Thank you. So next we're going to move on to the Gettysburg Mayoral election. So council member at large, the Democratic nominee for Gettysburg Mayor, Chad Allen Carr, won the race, defeating incumbent Democrat Rita Freeling, who is running as a Republican while currently serving as the incumbent as a Democrat. After narrowly losing to Carr in the May Democratic primary by 31 votes. In the November election, the final vote tally was 913 for Chad Allen Carr and 736 for Rita Freeling. Carr's platform was to cede the mayor's role of oversight of the Gettysburg Police Department from the mayor to the Borough Council of 7, and Freeling vowed to keep the balance of power as it is. So currently the mayor directs the police in enforcing laws and ordinances and can issue orders to the police chief. The mayor has full charge and control of day-to-day management, which is usually delegated to the police chief, while currently the Borough Council controls police budget, funding levels, hiring and firing, police discipline ordinances, and that set policy. Mm-hmm. This was one of the most interesting storylines, an incumbent Democrat running as a Republican and a challenger winning as a Democrat. What do you make of this race, big picture?
The party dynamics almost felt a lot like the campaign we were running, because the parties kind of got switched out here. And I'll say that since the beginning, when Mayor Freeling ran as a Democrat and got Republican support in the primary, I've been supportive of her campaign. I wrote in Mayor Freeling on my Republican ballot back in the primary, and contributed to her winning the Republican nomination, which she didn't. She was just kind of running for mayor. I've heard out there speculation that she was really pushing hard for a Republican nomination or campaigning as a Republican. And I would say that that's, kind of misleading. I would say that she was running for mayor and running in a pretty nonpartisan manner. And so she's had my support since the beginning. I've appreciated her role as mayor in Gettysburg, and been impressed with the work that she's done.
Thank you. So I'll also be upfront with my biases as well. I do support Chad Allen Carr, but it's all respect. And so I'm going to sort of make the argument for police oversight going to the council of 7. So it has the impact of increasing accountability. There's more people that are like having oversight of the police department rather than just one person. And he argues that it's transparency, accountability. Can you make the argument for these powers staying in the hands of the mayor?
Sure. So I would say, first off, something that I realized coming into Gettysburg, I'm from Connecticut, that is a lot different here, is the role of the mayor is, kind of decentralized because there are so many different, within the city government, the different tasks are so already kind of split up that the mayor's primary role, as I see it, has already been managing the police department. There isn't, outside of that, they don't have as much of a proper role in city government. So I would say that, the first thing just kind of practically is that it makes sense that the mayor continues managing the police department because it's their primary job description. And I would say beyond that, there were more concerns, especially on the college campus, regarding the police department with some student concerns that had come up. But with the new police chief that's come into office, Chief Evans, I've heard great things. I think that from everything that I've heard, he's done a fantastic job so far. And I believe that Mayor Freeling has taken the concerns seriously. So at this point, I just don't feel it's necessary, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And Freeling would also make the argument that there have been no lawsuits during her term against the police department. And she also talked about in the forum that, you're going to have a lawsuit if you change this.
Right.
And so we'll see what happens, but that power is probably going to shift to the Borough Council with this election result.
That's right.
And looking forward, what do you think is the big test for Carr's new administration?
Sure. One of my concerns has been, hearing Chad Allen Carr speak, I was always impressed. I think he's a good speaker. I think that he has, kind of the a mayoral feel about him, right? He seems like he would perform well in the role. One of my concerns, though, was just in terms of his policies, his development, support for the development within Gettysburg. One of the things that had come up recently is the station project, which is over, kind of across the railroad tracks in Gettysburg, where we're looking at the potential development of additional housing and potentially rezoning in order to allow building up. And my big concern here is just that the reason that Gettysburg is able to bring in so many folks every year, because the tourism industry here is huge, and the reason that the town is able to survive is that we've got tourists coming through constantly. And as soon as we start building up to where we lose this historic charm, I'm just afraid that we're gonna die off in the tourism industry. The ghost tours and the small businesses in town will start to close their doors, and we'll turn into a city that's kind of lost the history, and really that would be devastating. So that is my only concern, kind of moving forward. Other than that, I think that Chad Allen Carr seems like a great mayoral candidate.
So is your primary concern with the station project, or it can be both? Is it the aesthetics of it not being historical, or is it the new people that will come in because of the new housing in the borough?
Yeah, so it's not the new people. It's definitely just the development, further development of the town. So increasing the size of the buildings, building up taller. Buildings in Gettysburg probably should not be 7 or 8 stories. If you go up to the Peace Light battlefield, the Peace Light Memorial, and that side of the battlefields, you can see down into this side of campus, and I think that that's kind of where I wouldn't want to see a 7-foot tall building from there. And I would say that coming through town, we want to the best of our ability, make it appear somewhat historic, which is why keeping the buildings relatively similar to what would have existed during the Civil War, in terms of aesthetics from the outside. But that does not have anything to do with the folks who would be coming in.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and so the mayor does not have direct control over housing, but we've seen that they have kind of taken, they're still going to be the face, and they have the bully pulpit, and they're kind of the face of the town politically, and they attend the council meetings and have input over what goes on in the council meetings, even though they don't have direct control. And both candidates have kind of had different opinions on it. Chad is very supportive of the station project and the new development, and Rita has been less so in favor of that. So something that I would say, like, to make the Chad's argument, and also council member Rio that I had on earlier, he was talking about how sometimes in the off season, like tourist off season, like it used to be that some like shops would just close, like they wouldn't be able to function in the time where it's not tourist season, because we're still a sort of small town. So and Chad also discussed like that there's not that many more taxable properties that can be taxed in Gettysburg. So adding that and the more population would be beneficial. I think my criticism of the station project is that it does not, all of the houses will be like market rate, and something that Rio talked about is that the council can set stronger incentives for affordable housing to be built. So that would just kind of be the other side of the argument, just laying that out. So next we're going to talk about the Borough Council elections. So Democrats carried all 3 wards. In Ward 1, Jeff Rio, who we had on the show, the director of the Center for Public Service at Gettysburg College, defeated David Petters, who we also had on the show, former co-owner of the Blue and Gray Bar and Grill. There was 393 to 180. What do you make of the value of having a college employee representative in the borough council government at the same time as working at the college?
I think it's fantastic. I think that for the position of the college, having folks involved in the borough government on the borough government level is really valuable to our institution. And as part of Student Senate, actually, a recent addition is that we have a student representative who attends borough council meetings, Ella Prito, and she's been providing us insight that we share at our Student Senate meetings every week. And I think that it's really helpful in not only just kind of keeping us up to date in what's going on in the community, but it also makes us feel like the campus is almost, I don't know, about a quarter of the borough limits itself. So the campus is a huge part of the community. And I think that especially one of the things that drew me to Gettysburg was in the admissions process, there was a lot of talk about, kind of engaging with the community. I did not want a campus that was closed off to the community, and I think that having that kind of access and connection with the town, it's fantastic that especially somebody who's engaged with, the Center for Public Service would have that kind of access to the community, because serving on borough council, he will have up close and personal view of the biggest issues facing Gettysburg, and can bring those back to the Center for Public Service and hopefully better serve the community we live in.
Thank you. So next we have some races that were unopposed. So I don't have a lot of thoughts on them, but if you have any thoughts about them, you can share them. So in Ward 2, Chris Berger won unopposed, and in Ward 3, William Mooney III won unopposed for Gettysburg Borough Council, and Kelly Ruff Loiver, I believe, was reelected Clerk of Courts without opposition. Chrissy Redding, cross-filed on both party lines, was returned as County Treasurer, and Sheriff Josh Fitting won comfortably with 22,105 votes. Any thoughts on these races?
I've met a good number of those folks. The ones who I, feel strongly about, I'm a big fan of Kelly Lover. She, was reelected as Clerk of Courts. She is, I'm not sure if she was cross-filed this time, Democrat and Republican, but I know that she has, I think that she has in the past. I'm a big fan of her. She's very nice. I don't have strong feelings about the others generally.
Okay, thank you. So next is going to be the Gettysburg Area School District School Board elections. So this is going to be a mouthful. So we have 8 candidates for 4 four-year seats on the Gettysburg Area School District School Board, and we have 2 candidates for 1 2-year seat. So you have on the Democratic side, you have Charles Wise, professor at Gettysburg College for the 4-year seat. You'll have Julieta Bose. You have Dale Brennan, former social studies teacher. And you have Kathleen Pratt. And then on the Republican side, you have Michelle Smyers, Justine Sieg. You have David Seitz and Donna Harrison. So for the 4-year seat, 3 Republicans won and 1 Democrat won. The Gettysburg Area School District, the Republicans outnumber the Democrats in that area, so that's not so surprising. The 3 Republicans that won were Justine Sieg, David Seitz, and Donna Harrison, and Kathleen Pratt, the Democrat, actually had the most votes out of all of them. For the 2-year race, it was between Professor of Biology here at Gettysburg College, Ryan Kearney, and Mark Hopkins. Ryan Kearney won, the Democrat, with 4,843 votes to Mark Hopkins's 4,447 votes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the background of some of the candidates. So Pratt has experience on the board before from 2017 to 2021 and is currently serving on the board as an interim. She is proud of her record of not raising taxes during COVID, and she was very proud of that and talked about that. And she's a business studies lecturer at McDaniel College and former HAC, the community college here in Gettysburg, professor. Justine Sieg is a business teacher and a Gettysburg graduate. And with 44 years as an active realtor in the greater historic Gettysburg and South Central Pennsylvania area, David Seitz specializes in all facets of real estate sales, consulting, residential, commercial, leasing, and development projects. Born in Fairfield, Pennsylvania, and receiving a BA degree in business management from Gettysburg College. Michelle Smyers, who did not win, is the founder of Adams County Moms for Liberty. What do you make of this school board race, big picture?
So I actually was not very surprised with the results. I expected generally Republicans to do very well, with the exception of I did expect that Pratt would hold on to her seat. She is currently a member of the school board and, is very well respected from what I've seen. I think that she's generally done a pretty good job, and I have met her a few times and, have enjoyed getting to meet her. So I think that she's a a good candidate to keep on the school board. I think that the school board candidates were overwhelmingly there were more strong candidates than there were open seats, I would say, which is a nice position to be in for the county. I think that I would say Dave Seitz was a good candidate. I was not surprised he was reelected. Justine Sieg, I was not surprised she was reelected. I would say the reason that Smyers may not have been reelected, I believe she was the only Republican for the 4-year seats who wasn't reelected. And, recently she's kind of been involved in some controversy on Facebook and potentially in person with members of the school district, families. And I think that one thing that most people find really important with school board races is that the folks who you're putting up there really need to show an attitude of cooperation. And I think that there are definitely some folks in the Gettysburg area who did not feel that she represented that. So that was less surprising to me. I do wish that Dale Brennan had been successful in his race. I think that he would have been a strong addition as well. But, I thought Julietta Booth was also a strong candidate, but really at the end of the day, I was sitting there struggling because you could only vote for 4 of them, and I think there were a lot of good candidates this time around.
Absolutely.
And are we discussing the 2 years?
Yeah,
also?
I was about to get into that. Absolutely. So I'm going to give a little more bio about some of the candidates and just some of their positions in the 2-year race. So Ryan Kearney is an organismal biologist and professor at Gettysburg College, where he has taught for 12 years. He has worked as an educator for 26 years from middle school to medical school. He specializes in the ecology, evolution, and development of amphibians. He's worked extensively on science policy through the American Association for the Advancements of Science. He has a PhD in biology from Harvard University. Kearney is the program director for Advancing Science, which is a free lending library of scientific expertise and equipment that serves South Central Pennsylvania. He ran in the special election for the 2-year seat and won, filling the position left by vacant outgoing board member and 2018 Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, Cynthia Ayers. Mm-hmm. He ran as a Democrat against Republican Mark Hopkins. Hopkins is a 26-year retired combat veteran with a Master's of Education from Washington State University. And I'm going to discuss their positions in the candidate forum. He was a strong proponent for elimination of indoctrination in schools. One issue where the candidates kind of had different answers was on diversity in the workplace. Kearney was in favor of picking qualified candidates with different racial backgrounds and diverse racial backgrounds being a factor in hiring. And the question was about Gettysburg Area School District having only one African-American teacher, while Hopkins was opted to decide purely based on merit and just take like a colorblind approach. And another just position that Kearney had, he was critical of the current board, their practice of saying, this meeting is open to the public, but it is not a public meeting. He was sort of more of a proponent of having like town halls and more input from the public. I'm not saying that Hopkins wasn't in favor of that, but that was what Kearney was in favor of. So it was. I saw this. I was expecting the school board to go very Republican, but this was kind of, and it did for the most part, but this was kind of like an upset. So what do you think contributed to Kearney's win, and what do you make of the 2-year race?
I honestly had no expectation for the 2-year race. I went into it without, kind of an idea of who was going to come out as the winner. And this was another one. I think that they were both strong candidates. What I said about the Borough Council race, I think remains here. I like the idea of having Gettysburg College faculty involved in the borough and county government, And I think that being involved at Gettysburg College probably does help your chances, just because of the size of the institution. You know, there are a lot of faculty and staff and administrators and students here who go out and vote, and there's definitely something to being a member of this community that makes it easier to garner support. So I think that definitely could have contributed to his win. In terms of the candidate forum, I appreciated both of their performances. I agree with Professor Kearney's position on the town halls. I think that, or the school board, the school board meetings being run in a town hall fashion. I think that, it's important when you're at the town hall meetings for families to get their voices heard, and that was a strong position. I think that after the town hall, I felt that I heard some people who were taking what Mark Hopkins had said about hiring decisions out of the context in which he had said it, which was unfortunate. I really think that the position he was making there, and I think you said it very well, was that you should be making hiring decisions based on purely merit, with no consideration of these protected classes. No consideration of race or gender or any of those kinds of things. And I think that is a reasonable position. So I appreciated him sharing that.
Thank you. And next, I just want to move to big picture, about all of these races. What will you be paying attention to in local government when these officials start their terms? And just any final thoughts about the election, anything you want to say?
Sure. There's a lot to be looking at, but I think that one of the big things I'm going to be paying attention to is changes in the development plans for the borough. I think that's got to be the first focus here. The station project is still kind of up in the air from what I've seen, and I think that you stated it perfectly. The mayor does not have any kind of statutory power over development, but they have influence. And I'm going to be very interested to see moving forward what happens with development. The police is something I'm less passionate about in terms of who controls the police department. I would tend to agree with Mayor Freeling's position that the police probably fall under the jurisdiction of the mayor, but I think that either way, as long as proper oversight continues, which I think it will, I'm not super concerned about that. And I think that the dynamics of the school board are going to shift a little bit here too. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, and I think we're just going to we'll see what happens in 2 years. This seat will be up again. It was, kind of a Republican stronghold seat for a long time, and I think that Professor Kearney probably has a good chance of holding on to it. So I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining me, Garrett. Garrett, once again, is the former president of the Gettysburg College Republicans, Gettysburg College Senate Secretary, and he was the campaign manager for Paul Royer's bid for Judge of Adams County Court of Common Pleas. Thank you so much for joining me to talk about this election.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
About the local elections here, and I'm going to move on to some other discussion about news that has happened in the past week. So first off, we have just general coverage of the election. Adams County voter turnout Tuesday was definitely more than expected, with 39.68% of registered voters casting their ballots, according to Adams County Election and Voter Registration Director Angie Kraus. The turnout for Tuesday's election surpassed May's primary election by 16.28% for the same races, according to the Adams County election website. This turnout was because there were a couple of very heated races, said Krause. Though judge retention elections do not usually draw a large crowd of voters, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court retention election became a major part of the ballot. Krause attributes some of the high turnout to this election. Judge retention brought people out, she said. Local elections also brought Adams County voters to the polls. The Gettysburg Mayoral race and the 51st judge seat both played large parts in drawing voters on Tuesday, said Krause. School boards were huge. Ballots cast in Adams County during the November 4th general election totaled 30,003 out of Adams County's 75,621 registered voters, according to the Adams County website. This is half of last year's presidential election turnout of 61,039 and far exceeds 2023's turnout of 23,217 ballots cast, according to the Adams County website. Most of these votes were cast in person, with 21,670 Election Day votes and 8,333 votes cast by mail, according to the Adams County website. Both mail-in ballots cast in person were higher than normal, according to Krause, and there were no major issues during this election. Moving on, we have a story in the Gettysburg Connection by Alex Hayes. Gettysburg Borough Council looks to increase taxes. So the Gettysburg Borough Council is poised to propose a 4.39% tax increase. The council reached a conclusion near the end of its third budget workshop on Monday, which one person attended. Members agreed a 0.2 million tax increase is more palatable than last year's 0.4 million increase. 1 million equals $1 of tax for every $1,000 of a property's assessed value. The meeting was live streamed on community media, but the borough did not provide documents online after repeated requests. During the budget workshop, council unanimously consented that $100,000 should be allocated to support the borough's reenactment of President Abraham Lincoln's 1863 arrival in Gettysburg on November 19th, 2026, in conjunction with the 250th anniversary of America's founding in 1976. The request will fund America 250 flags, American flags, generators, a stage with lighting and sound, restrooms, tables, and chair rentals and security needs. Council President Matthew Moon noted the estimate is likely low, but all members agreed the money should be spent to attract the economic benefit that comes from tourists. Borough Manager Charles Gable said previously the programming budget, which is being covered by the National Park Service, Gettysburg Foundation, and Lincoln Fellowship, is more than $300,000. The council also agreed to install 2 cameras in the police department's interview room for $29,000. Officer in charge Christopher Evans said he may be able to attain a grant to fund the expense. The borough's healthcare costs will increase 20% next year, Gable said. The council plans to install above-ground fuel tanks to replace underground tanks that failed inspection earlier this year. Public Works Director Robbie Harbaugh said the borough will save 30 cents a gallon by buying its own gas. The tanks will be paid for through a fund that has restricted uses and does not affect the property tax rate. The borough also plans to fix Steinwehr Avenue crosswalk located near Tommy's Plaza, the Dobbin House. Borough engineer Chad Claybaugh of C.S. Davidson acknowledged Steinwehr was recently rehabilitated, but said the crosswalk is failing because the borough chose to save money by installing the crosswalk without replacing the base of the street. The project will replace the base and the crosswalk. The borough will likely vote on Monday, November 10th, to advertise its budget, with final approval scheduled for December 8th. Moving on, we have some more news from the Gettysburg Area School District School Board, which we just discussed the recent election pertaining to those seats. So Gettysburg School Board rejects design proposal by Alex Hayes in the Gettysburg Connection. Renovations to the Gettysburg Area School District Administration Building on Biglerville Road are delayed once again. On Monday, the board voted 3-6 to reject a proposal to begin design on the estimated $6.5 to $7.5 million project. The proposal centers around the need to upgrade the administration building's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, and the desire to move the IT room out of the basement. In May, the board approved Barton Engineering's design contract for a scope and total project budget of $4.6 million, but that figure proved to be too low. One option is to move the IT room to the attic for $6.8 million. Staff are not in favor of the scenario and would like to get more bang for their buck. Director of Facilities and Safety Coordinator Josh Reynolds said the district could expand the footprint of the first floor, creating a new boardroom and transforming the existing boardroom into an IT room. The project is estimated to cost $6.5 million. If the district goes that route, it could consider adding a second floor to the boardroom for an additional $1 million. Board President Kenny Hassinger did not express opposition to the project, but said he preferred to delay approval at least 1 month, so he and others who are leaving the board at the end of November are not committing funds to a project that the new board might not support. Monday's vote, if approved, would have committed the district to about $30,000 in design fees. Board member Alice Broadway, who will remain on the board, supported the proposal. "I find that rationale difficult," Broadway said. "I would rather help move a project forward and have the next board decide whether that is something they would like to continue working on." Kathleen Pratt, who joined the board this summer and is also elected from the 4-year seat, she received the most votes out of any candidate, expressed a desire for more discussion. Business manager Belinda Wallen said the project was originally proposed to be part of a renovation to nearby James Geddes Elementary School that begins in 2023. Broadway Al Moyer and Tim Seigman supported the design proposal, while Michelle Smyers, Pratt, Michael Dickerson, Jeremy Davis, Ryan Morris, and Hassinger opposed it. Hassinger, Morris, Davis, and Smyers will attend the last meeting on November 17th. Ryan Kearney, Justine Sieg, David Seitz, and Donna Harrison will take the oath of office on December 2nd. Administrators could submit the building renovation proposals to the new board for consideration at a future meeting. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk about some events that have been coming up here at the college. So, Jules Young's senior recital is tomorrow in Paul Recital Hall, November 9th at 2:30 p.m., accompanied by Dr. Scott Crone and Athena on the piano, and Ella Reedway with soprano. So go check out Jules Young's senior recital. We have Kai O Night Live World Tour, Make-A-Wish on today, November 8th, at 6:30 p.m. In Plank Gym, right here where we're recording this, in the basement of Plank Gym, but it'll be in the main room. Enjoy an evening of lively performances and entertainment at Kai O Night Live. This campus-wide showcase features dances, skits, and plenty of school spirit, hosted by Chi Omega. We also have on Monday, the 10th, we have a self-defense class from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the Jaeger multipurpose room in the Jaeger Athletic Center. Build confidence and learn essential safety techniques in this empowering hands-on self-defense class open to all students. And we also have Celebrating Queer History and Representation on Stage with Theater Representation Game Show. Join the Gender and Sexuality Resource Center and Allen Nightingale Players. Wednesday, November 12th from 4 to 5 p.m. in Joseph Theater, Brighton Ball Hall 201. Powerful conversation on representation in theater and why it matters. Next up, we have Cultural Wellness Wednesday, November 12th from 12 to 2 p.m. In Cub Green. A Sip Around the World, explore new cultures and learn about campus resources while making furry friends. Sip for a chance to win a mug. The menu is chocolate caliente, cocoa tea, chocolate chaud, green tea, agua de panela, matcha tea, Thai tea, morer sonado. I'm butchering all these names. And limonada. It's in Cub Green. Relax with therapy dogs and sip on culturally inspired drinks at Cultural Wellness Wednesday, a one-time event celebrating wellness and community, 12 to 2 p.m., Cub Green. And next up, we have an open house for philosophy and religious studies. Enjoy an open house with the Philosophy and Religious Studies Department. Meet the professors, ask questions, enjoy some sweet treats, learn about the major/minor. That will be November 12th, Weidensaw Hall, 3rd floor lobby at 12 p.m. And now we have some college events, but now we're going to move into just some general community events. So in the Gettysburg and Adams County community. So American Legion 202, Gettysburg will celebrate Veterans Day Tuesday, November 11th at 11 a.m. with Stan Clark, Adams County Veterans Affairs Director, as guest speaker. Apple Corps Band will provide music. Service of Remembrance will be read with taps and a 21-gun salute. Lunch provided, public invited. Dinner at the Well, Bethel Mennonite Church, 2335 Biglerville Road, Gettysburg, is Friday, November 14th at 6 p.m. for food, fellowship, and prayer. And we have the International Gift Festival and Rug Event, YMCA Gettysburg, 909 Fairfield Road, is Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Fair trade goods, handcrafted gifts, home goods, Christmas ornaments, teas and coffee, hand-knotted artisan designed rugs in many sizes and colors. And next up we have Saves 5865 Hanover Road. Basket Bingo is Friday, November 21st. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. Hot meal at 5:30 p.m. Bingo starts at 6:30 p.m. $20 per ticket includes meal, retired Longaburger baskets filled by local businesses and individuals, family event, plus special raffles. Reserve your tickets or ticket will also be available at the door. Call 717-353-3682 to get involved. Next, we have time is running out to purchase tickets to the 2025 AT Hall of Fame banquet on November 22nd. Hall of Fame Day will include a full slate of activities. Find out more and purchase tickets at www.atmuseum.org/news/at -hall-of-fame-day-will-feature-a-full-slate-of-activities. And next up we have Adams County Trout Unlimited will meet Wednesday, November 19th at 6:30 p.m. at Adams County Conservation District Office, 670 Old Harrisburg Road. Gettysburg with featured speaker Taylor Hess of Appalachian Fishing Guides, who will speak on winter fly fishing, business meeting to follow at 7:30. Both events free and open to the public. South Mountain Audubon Society will present beavers of the Gettysburg National Military Park on Monday, November 17th. Social time at 7 p.m., brief business meeting at 7:30 p.m., followed by the program at the Adams County Agricultural Resource Center, 670 Old Harrisburg Road, Gettysburg, free and open to the public. Beavers of Gettysburg National Military Park, that is a significant event. Just want to highlight that. You want to learn about beavers, go to that meeting Monday, November 17th at 7 p.m. We got Physical Fitness Task Force 2.5-mile walk/hike is Tuesday, November 18th at 9:45 a.m. at Hauser Estate Event Center. Meet in the lot at 410 Cashtown Road, Biglerville. Optional breakfast at 9 a.m. catered by bigger staff. Quiche, French toast, breakfast breads, coffee, self-pay. Join for one or both. The walk is on mowed grass fields, mostly gentle downhill with a longer uphill at the finish. The Physical Fitness Task Force, yes, that's a different event. The Physical Fitness Task Force 2.2-mile easy hike, now the last one was 2.5, is Saturday, November 15th at 9 a.m. on Caledonia's Ramble Trail Park in Lot 2 at Caledonia State Park. 101 Pine Grove Road, Fayetteville. Lot 2 is past the park office, past the stop sign. This wide walking trail is mostly flat and passes through scenic lowlands and woodlands. There is one low water creek crossing that requires stepping on rocks. You will be able to borrow walking sticks for this if needed. And Gettysburg High School class of 1953 will meet for lunch Thursday, November 13th at 11:30 at Gettysburg Family Restaurant, York Road. Guests welcome. The Women's Club of Gettysburg meets every second Wednesday of the month, October through May, at Haas's Steak and Seafood House, 1140 York Road at 11:30 a.m. Next meeting is Wednesday, November 12th. New members welcome. We have Gettysburg High School class of 1963. Next class social is November 12th at 11:30 a.m. at Gateway Family Diner, 70 Presidential Circle. Spouses and guests welcome. And Gettysburg, so Lincoln Cemetery Project Association's Remembrance Day program at the Lincoln Cemetery in Long Lane is November 15th at 3 p.m. with guest speaker Gettysburg native Dr. David L. Lovelet. And we have another Gettysburg Walking Club event. We'll meet at the Gettysburg Rec Park Tuesday, November 11th at 10 a.m. with lunch afterward at Gettysburg Family Restaurant at 11 a.m. Call 717-528-7646 for information. All are welcome. And Ben Jones Brass at the Gettysburg Community Theater, November 22nd. The bar starts at 6 p.m. and the event starts at 7 p.m. It'll be a night of music from the Great American Songbook and more, and it will help support the Gettysburg Community Theater Memorial Scholarship. Thank you so much for listening to the Gettysburg Update. I have been Dan. Good night. And tune in at 8 p.m. tonight for the premiere of a brand new show here at the 91.1 WZBT Gettysburg. That is the Curio Collection, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. tonight, first show on Saturday. Thank you.